I welcome everyone to this wonderful day and this wonderful occasion to speak to Satish Kumar, a great name in ecology. My name is Fred Hageneder, and I have the great honor to meet one of my heroes who has inspired not just me but so many people around the world with working for the earth and the community of humankind and all sentient beings. And I am very happy to talk to you today. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I thought, because of your own country of origin, that I would like to introduce the idea that we dedicate our talk today to the world tree, the Ashwata in Hindu tradition, which is a notion, the world tree in all countries and all cultures around the globe really is a notion that everything is one, all living things are one. The cosmic tree contains all of creation, and all leaves, it roots in the spirit world, and all leaves are expressions of this ancient divine force of life. So we too, we all here are singular trees of life in this cosmic tree of life. And when we compare ourselves, we could say the roots of us trees is our past, where we come from. The trunk would be our identity, our self, our soul, and the crown would be what we exchange with the world, the sunlight we receive, and also what we give out one day as seeds, and the beauty, the fragrance of flowers, and later the seeds to go into the world and surpass our time on earth and spread more light and love, really, I hope. So let us start with our roots. I would like to tell you a little something about myself. Your path into the world started with a peace walk, and you will tell us about that in a minute. And I would like to tell you a little anecdote from my life about my relationship with peace. So I was born in Hamburg in 1962 from a refuge family from Eastern Prussia. My granny had a farm and was tending a cow and sheep and had a veggie garden. So the first war came, the Russians took her out to a refuge camp in Russia from the evil Germans. Later, at the end of World War II, the Germans took her away to a refuge camp from the evil Russians. So she didn't really care about politics. She wanted to be with her land. But her husband, my grandfather, died in war. He never came back from the battlefield. But I grew up. 17 years later, I was born after the war ended. And once or twice a year, my granny and my mother would break into tears, sort of still processing the horrors of fleeing, of the flight, of losing everything. So I was brought up in the trauma that war causes, the pain and suffering that war causes for so many people. And my granny would then turn to me as a young boy and say with tears in her eyes, little boy, pray that you never ever have to experience war. It's the worst thing on earth. And I guess that made me a pacifist. And I just came across that same line that my granny spoke. You quote Leo Tolstoy saying that in his monumental work, War and Peace, that it is the worst thing on earth. So I know your peace walk started with the worry about the nuclear weapons. But I would also like to ask you what you might not get asked so often. Did you have any direct experience with war, with occupied India, or with the trauma that the British occupation left? Yeah, what was your experience?
Yes, my experience of war was more between India and Pakistan over Kashmir.
Yes.
And when I started to walk for peace from the grave of Mahatma Gandhi, the first country through which I had to walk was Pakistan. And when I was on the border of India and Pakistan, a number of my friends came to say goodbye, and one of them was in tears, worried about me going into Pakistan.
Yes.
And she said to me that you are going without any money and walking, and you are going to an enemy country. How are you going to survive? I want you to take some money with you, take some food with you, so at least for a few days while you are looking around and finding some people to help you,
yes,
you have something to eat and something to survive on. And I thought at that moment, and I said to myself, and I said to my friend who was offering me money, I said, the packets of food you are offering me are not packets of food, they are packets of mistrust. And wars begin in fear. Peace begins in trust. Yes. I have no enemies. Everybody is my friend. If one is a Muslim, he is my friend. If one is a Christian, he is my friend. One is a communist, he is my friend. One is a capitalist, one is my friend. I have no enemies. Love and friendship is my principle with which I am going. And I went through Pakistan. Yes. And I walked 1 month without any money, and every day I was looked after. And by those so-called enemies. So enemy is in our mind. There is no enemy. Everybody is a human being. Everybody wants to be friend. Everybody wants to love each other. But we have not learned, in spite of the war story you tell me about your family, we had been through wars after wars after wars throughout human history, and yet we have not learned anything. And we are still spending $2 trillion every year on war preparation, on bombs and drones and armies and tanks and so on. And we see world as an enemy. And we live in fear. I think if we want to have peace in the world, we have to trust. Without trust, there is no peace. But trust anybody, whoever you are, communists, capitalists, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, blacks, whites, Russians, Chinese, Ukrainians, Israelis, Iranians, whoever you are. Everybody is a human being. Everybody is a friend. Let's talk with them and let's have a cup of tea, which is a cup of peace, a cup of love with them. That is the way. But humanity has not learned anything.
Yes, will we ever learn? But I often see generations, new generations, like where young men apply again to go to the war for their country, and the same trap repeats itself. With every
this idea, this is my country, is a very narrow-minded thinking. Yes. For me, the entire cosmos is my country. The entire planet is my home. Exactly. Nature is my nationality. Love is my religion. And I'm rooted in the local community where I live. My feet are on the ground, but my mind is cosmic. If you have that consciousness, then you can love every country. You love your own country where you are born, but you love every country. There's no country to be hated. Every country is beautiful.
You leave me speechless every time. You're so right, it is so true. And you're setting a new paradigm here, and all its simplicity and its clarity. We don't need more than that, really. It is so beautiful. And we need to remind ourselves of that every day. You see, reminders are a good thing, I think. You see, I live now in a house that the previous owners, the people who built the house, called Gecko's Nest, because they had lots of geckos, these little lizards running around. And so to live in a house and you think of your home, I gotta go, it's time, I gotta go back to Gecko's Nest. And that constantly reminds me, these geckos have been in that valley long before me, long before any humans came to that valley. And also as reptiles, they've been here on Earth long before us humans. So we are really short-term guests here. And it puts my life in perspective. And I love that. I want to be in that place where I see things in a more balanced way, coming out of that old Western European human mindset of anthropocentric behavior. We are the crown of creation. I think these geckos are very different. They have different needs to me, or any other animal, or the trees around me, and I want to respect them. And just because I don't know what their needs are, I don't quite know how they communicate, that doesn't give me the right to overrun and bulldoze over everything.
You know, when you talk about anthropocentric, what reminds me is that our modern industrial paradigm that world is going through see nature and humans separate. Yes. This is anthropocentrism, starts there. Everything is human-centered, and we think nature is inanimate object, object to use for our economic benefit. Yes. So nature becomes only a means to an end, a resource for the economy. And we think that nature is inferior, lower, and humans are above, superior. And so this kind of separation between nature and humans is where anthropocentrism comes in. And therefore what we need to change our understanding and say that nature and humans are not separate. We are nature. Everything is nature. Whatever is born is nature. The word nature comes from natal, which means birth. Everything is born is nature. We are called humans, and the word humans come from Latin humus, and humus means soil. So human beings are literally soil beings. We are made of soil. We come from the soil. We go back to the soil. Our body is a soil transformed. So if we see nature and humans not separate, nature and humans as one, then our anthropocentrism will be put in its place and not be there. And then we will say that nature is sacred, life is sacred, nature is alive, nature is conscious, nature is divine. You talked about trees. In Indian tradition, we say God lives in trees. And the Buddha, to meditate, sat under a tree. And by sitting under a tree, he was enlightened. And so we need to see a new understanding of nature and trees and our unity of life. Without that, I think we are going to destroy ourselves while we are destroying and polluting nature.
Exactly. That's why my transition from war to geckos was not all at random. I wanted to say that humankind has been at war with nature for so long. It started with the advent of agriculture and tilling the soil and becoming protective of a little plot of land, and ended 10,000 years later with the mass destruction of industrial farming.
Yes.
In 2014, I think the UN said that by now, through the poisons and the soil compaction of heavy machinery of industrial farming, about a third of the world's agricultural land has become infertile. And the rest will within 60 years or so, if we don't change our ways. So we have scaled up this game of mass destruction, this war on nature, almost to the limit.
Yes,
and
yes.
Our planet is coming to the limit.
War with nature is quite a right term you are using. And I think we have to make peace with nature. As you have described, the way we treat our natural world, the way we are destroying our rainforests, the way we are polluting our oceans and rivers, the way we are poisoning our soil, the way we are putting animals in factory farms where 50,000 pigs or 50,000 cows or 50,000 chickens are in a factory. They never see the light of the day all their life, and they are just treated like objects. And unless we change that and make peace with nature, we will not make peace with humans. So making peace with nature, making peace with humans, and then making peace with ourselves. Because we are at war with ourselves by destroying nature and destroying other human beings, killing other human beings. So peace within yourself, peace with everybody, all human beings, and peace with nature, all a continuum. And we cannot have peace unless we have this humility. The humans have to have humility to live in harmony with nature.
And things like this can happen because humans have become so good in looking the other way, and we engage with lots of distraction. All these forms of entertainment and computer games and everything can become a distraction to look at actually how are we getting all this energy to produce these products and the energy to run it.
Exactly.
And so when you look deeper, you see that our way of economy, is the extractive economy, is a life-grabbing thing that eats up the planet. And I wanted to mention the Earth Overshoot Day. Maybe some of our viewers haven't heard of that. That's a commemorative day that wants to point out just how much energy we're overusing. It's the overshoot. So of all the energy that humankind could use within a year that the Earth can replenish, we're using up it quicker and quicker. So this year, the Overshoot Day will fall on about the 25th of July. That means within 7 months, we consume our energy allotment for the year.
Yeah, yeah.
So where do the other 5 months come from? They come from the future. We borrow from the future through a strange banking system.
Yeah. We are not thinking about our future generations. Actually, I have written a book which is coming out from Erde called Soil, Soul, Society. And I'm exactly addressing this issue that you are talking about, how we live in harmony with the soil and with nature. Mahatma Gandhi used to say, there's enough in the world for everybody's need, but not enough for anybody's greed. And at the moment, our humanity is driven by greed and not by need. Because soil is the source of life. Nature is life itself. Nature is not a resource for the economy. Nature is a source of life itself. If we see nature as life itself, then we will start to respect and revere nature. And that will not come unless you also cultivate your soul qualities. And soul qualities are compassion, kindness, generosity, reverence for life. All these are soul qualities. We are just externally engaged in the world and not internally engaged with ourselves. So inner transformation and outer transformation go hand in hand together. Without inner transformation, outer transformation is not enough. And without outer transformation, inner transformation is not enough. They all have to go like left and right walking together. Left leg, right leg, left leg, right leg. So walking with two legs together, inner transformation and outer transformation should go hand in hand together. So that's the soul. And then I talk about society, that we are one humanity before we are communists, capitalists, Christians, Muslims, Hindus, Africans, Asians, Europeans, Americans, blacks, whites, whatever, rich, poor. All these divisions are secondary. Primarily, we are one humanity. The moment we realize as one humanity, one society, that is a society. So soil, soul, society. It's a kind of new trinity for our time, I'm saying. And that's a kind of ecological paradigm that you are talking about.
And we have to change, we have to transform the division which is often put upon us to divide and conquer. We have to change the division in our head to an acknowledgement of diversity, right?
Yeah.
I love that you're from India. Tell me things about India. It's so wonderful to meet and greet people from all
diverse
over the world.
cultures. It's wonderful to have hundreds of languages. It's wonderful to have many religions. It's wonderful to have many philosophies. It's wonderful to have many cultures, many political systems, and many ideas. So I think biodiversity, cultural diversity, linguistic diversity, national diversity, and even truth diversity. Truth diversity. It's wonderful to have many truths. Why we have to have a just single monoculture or kind of uniformity? We have to have a diversity of cultures and diversity of truths. Yes. And therefore, I believe in a nature and evolution favors diversity. And our industrial system favors monoculture and uniformity. Everywhere you go nowadays, same kind of high-rise buildings. It's hard to know where you are because every city and everywhere you go, it's a high-rise monocultural buildings. Similarly, you go agriculture, everywhere there's tractors and machinery and a monoculture. And so we are going towards uniformity. And this is why I think this is a cause of wars is our desire for uniformity and monoculture. So if we want to have peace in the world, we have to embrace and celebrate diversity.
Yeah, it's good to take this in, really deeply in. I've seen an obstacle to that celebration of diversity by people wanting to be right, this arrogance that, I'm right, I know how everything should be. But it's actually this very sense of control that is been now coming to its end now. It's at the end of an era. In the deep ecology and ecocentric circles where I exchange thoughts, there have been voices saying that we actually have to let go of the idea that as we now sail in through this ecological crisis and all these other crises in society and so on, that we can control everything. Like just find another techno fix for that and that and that and everything will be fine. when in truth maybe we have to become more humble and let go of the idea that our human brain understands everything. Now science begins to see, for example, how other species, how intelligent they are, how much understanding, perception and awareness they have. We're talking about flies, spiders, fish. Fish have feelings, fish have memories.
All nature has memory.
Yes.
All nature has memory.
Exactly.
And you said about deep ecology. The deep ecology means recognizing that nature is not an inanimate object. Nature is a living organism. Nature is not a machine. Nature is a living organism. And living organism has consciousness, has intelligence, has a memory. And so all nature has memory. A mango tree knows how to become a mango. The mango seed knows how to become a mango and not an apple. An apple knows how to be an apple and not a mango. So nature has memory, nature has consciousness, nature has intelligence, nature is a living organism. The moment we recognize intrinsic value of nature, nature is not valued only in terms of how nature is useful to humans, but nature has its own intrinsic value. So we don't measure the value of a tree, how much it will produce for us, or what the wood will cost, and how much worth it is. You don't value nature in terms of her usefulness to humans. You value nature in its own right. That's a deep ecology. And I think we need that philosophy if we really want to see that nature and humanity can live in harmony with each other, and nature can regenerate itself for many, many generations to come. That's what I call economy of nature. Nature has the best economy and the most regenerative economy. And if we want to secure the future of our generations, future generations to come, and they can celebrate and enjoy life as we are doing, then we have to have this circular economy where nature regenerates and brings back life and continues in a circular way, in a cyclical way, rather than this modern linear way of economy where you take from nature, use it, throw it away on the landfills or on the waste bin or in the plastic in the ocean or sewage in the rivers and pollute everything. So I think the cyclical economy of nature has to be our guide. Nature is our true teacher. Nature's economy is the real example of our economy.
It was a very short-sighted idea for the last few centuries to think economy can exist as a linear thing, eternally growing and taking and producing waste by the side. As a separate system from nature in which it sits and which holds everything. So we have to unite economy and ecology.
Yes, absolutely. Ecology and economy have to go together. The word economy is a very beautiful word.
It is.
But when you ask people what do you mean by economy, they don't really understand the meaning of economy. They think economy means balance sheets, profitability, bottom line, production, consumption, sale, marketing, all that is economy. And I said, no, that is not economy. That is a money-nomy. Money-nomy, you are managing money.
Yes.
Economy, ecos means the entire planet Earth. And nomos means management. So management of the ecosystem, which is the whole planet Earth, is economy. Yes. And you cannot manage economy without ecology, because ecology means knowledge of the planet home. So how are you going to manage something without knowing it? So every school, every college, every university, wherever they teach economy, they should teach economy with ecology. Without ecology, there is no economy. And so I think ecology and economy are twins, like twin brothers. They have to go together. You cannot separate economy from ecology.
And you walked your talk. You put this into practice in 1990. I think you started Schumacher College as a leading college to bring in ecology into the course of education.
Absolutely.
And before that you started a small school as well.
Yes, because I started small school in 1982 at Schumacher College in 1991. And I started because our education has become very limited. We spend millions and millions of euros and dollars and whatever money you have just training the half brain, which is our left hemisphere of the brain. We have two sides of the brain. the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. And our education should educate both hemispheres of the brain. The left hemisphere is the hemisphere of science, reason, administration, management, and all that. Practical. Right hemisphere of the brain is more intuition, imagination, relationship. So rational is the left brain, relational is the right brain. But in our universities, we spend only training the half brain, the left hemisphere of the brain. And we don't train anything with our heart, which I already spoke about, soul qualities, like compassion, kindness, generosity, and love. And we don't teach hands. We don't teach our young people how to use your hands, how to make anything, how to build a house, how to grow food, how to do crafts things or art things. So my purpose of starting the small school and then Schumacher College was to have education of head and both sides of the head, and education of heart and education of hands. So head, heart and hands. These were the three aspects that I started the college. Our educational system is a part of the problem. And our young people are becoming they are being trained to just fit in the economic system. Get a job which will be a kind of industrial jobs, which are just a kind of more pollution, more waste and more resource consumption. And therefore, we need to change education so that education of head, heart and hands and education to respect nature. Now, not use nature, but respect nature and relate with nature in a very harmonious way. And that is a big challenge of educational system.
Over 2,000 years ago, Socrates, the great Greek philosopher, said that education should be like kindling the flame, not filling a vessel.
Yeah.
But our industrial age schools systems are still doing that. They treat children like in a bottle factory. But this very information they fill them up with is more and more replaced anyway by the digital world. And the children know, well, why do they teach me this? I can just Google it or watch it on YouTube or TikTok. So what the future really needs is children with the right brain that have the intuition and the heart space and the spaciousness in their head and the receptiveness, the intuition, the imagination, the creativity. But that is dampened down.
The thing is that in education we need to bring love back. And I have written this book called Radical Love. And in this book I am saying that all our science, technology, economics, politics, democracy, everything has to be rooted in the ground of love. Democracy, people talk about democracy, but democracy is no guarantee for good government. Democracy, you can elect an extreme right wing, extreme left wing, a warmonger leader. You don't know who you are electing, you just go with the trend. And so democracy is no guarantee for good government without love. So love first, then democracy. In the same way, science. Science is a cause of global warming. With the kind of technology and the commerce, we are creating global warming with scientific knowledge. And scientific knowledge has created nuclear weapons. So science is no guarantee for good human life and good progress. So love first, then science. And in the same way, I speak about truth. I mentioned biodiversity and cultural diversity with truth diversity, because truth later, love first, then truth. Otherwise, my truth, your truth, we can fight, we can kill each other in the name of truth and in the name of whatever. And so, radical love is to put love before, with anything. Love is the ground of all being. Love is the ground on which all your democracy and science and truth and other activities, economy as well, should be rooted and based on. So that's my new book, Radical Love. Is, I think, and we need to bring love back into our politics and business and industry and everywhere else. We have thought that love is a personal matter. Just in your personal, you love your wife, you love your husband, you love your children, you love your family, and that's it. Love is very limited, but no, love is a universal principle. And we need to bring love back into our everyday action.
I have said in my book Healthy Planet, in the final chapter I come to the same conclusion, where I'm looking for hope and how we can give people hope when there's always so much bad news. and also looking at how things really are ecologically will bring you even more despair and pain to begin with. So where do you go with that? How can you face it? And I found comfort when I heard the words of Russell Means, who was leading in 1973 the Wounded Knee resistance.
Yeah.
And there was no hope on earth they could win that fight. But he was asked, what took you to do it? And he said, because it was the right thing to do and the right place to do it. Referring to the fact that whatever we do it from a place of love, from a place of our heart. And we know that's the truth for us, and we just have to do it no matter what the outcome.
Yeah.
And you give the same thing in this book, Radical Love. And that is so important to people when they despair, to say, don't expect an outcome. You may not win.
Yeah.
You and I, we cannot save the earth. Who can? And we cannot save this and that. It's too much to ask of yourself. But you do what's right for you.
Yeah.
And you trust that that will be a tiny part of what will grow.
And what is right for you is to live your daily life in a kind of frugal way. That's my another book, which is Elegant Simplicity. And that book is telling that what each and every human being can do is to be the change that you want to see in the world. And how you live your daily life. If you are living elegantly simple, beautiful life, enough is enough. There's a sense of sufficiency, sufficient, enough. You have good food, you have good clothes, you have good house, that's enough. Have a garden, that's enough. You have a field to grow your food, that's enough. You have trees, that's enough. Why do you need 2 houses, 3 houses, 2 cars, 3 cars, a wardrobe full of clothes? So I would like us to learn to live simply, so that there are enough for everybody. If I live extravagantly and wastefully, I'm damaging the planet, and also I'm depriving other humans from the same resources. So live simply so that others may simply live. That's another motto. And also live simply but elegantly. So I say, whatever you make should be beautiful, useful, durable. Our crisis is a crisis of aesthetics. We have lost that sense of beauty. We have lost a sense of proportion. We have lost a sense of balance and harmony. And this is why our world is suffering and people are not happy. We have cars and computers and cameras and houses and roads and autobahns and airports and everything we have. And yet people are stressed. People are anxious. People are afraid. They are not contented. They are not happy. The happiness comes when you live simply and say, enough is enough, and now I will grow not in material possessions, but I will grow in poetry, art, music, friendship, family, gardening, enjoying walking, being in nature, having time for myself, having time to meditate, having time to read and write, having that time. We have lost that sense of time, and we are time poor, and we are kind of material things, we have plenty, but we don't have time. So elegant simplicity is what you said. Each and every one of us can take the responsibility to live simply so that our contribution to save the planet is that we don't consume more than we need.
I came across a study recently that showed that over the last maybe 50 years in the USA how the material wealth has increased, but the personal happiness has decreased.
Yes.
They go apart. And I just cannot stress how important this book of yours is about elegant simplicity, because let me tell you my take on it. I see all of us struggling with like the daily bombardment. Everyone tries to be more climate friendly, earth friendly. We know less plastic. All these problems have finally come to the public awareness, but everyone's overwhelmed with how really to deal with it and to walk the good path and avoid the bad things. The EU then bans plastic straws, which is more of a joke. Tiny plastic straws, but still there are trillions of tons being produced of plastic for the world. So we get the message, and also about the infinite economic growth cannot go on and on and on.
Exactly.
So we're coming to the end of that because we're reaching the planetary boundaries. Everyone starts to feel nervous about that. And those who have the power and the money, right, they just want to keep it going as long as possible. But everyone feels increasingly uneasy about it. Many people in deep ecology thinkers say degrowth is the only way out, because we cannot continue the same way of mass destruction of the web of life now with green energy. It will still be the same thing.
Yeah.
So we have to change much more than just...
Yeah, degrowth is a good idea.
But no, but what I want to say is it is a good idea, but it doesn't sound very attractive, because it brings up the fear of, oh, I will have less and less.
Yeah.
But the way you turn it around is so ingenious. You say, don't see it as degrowth, like I will have less. See it as elegant simplicity.
Yes, yes.
And that brings you to a new horizon of light and clarity. And my life has never been better before. I've been reading your book, and I think this is all you need. Yeah,
exactly. Degrowth has a kind of negative connotation, as if we are depriving ourselves. Exactly. And therefore, it's maybe a good idea in a certain context. But generally speaking, I think we need a positive vision. And the positive vision is live well, live good life without waste and without pollution. And you can do it. I call it nature's economy. I call it mangonomy. You know the mango tree? You plant one seed, just one seed, and that one seed will produce a tree with hundreds of branches and hundreds of mangoes on those branches. So each mango has another seed in it. From that one seed, 100 seeds or hundreds of seeds every year, and year after year for next 20, 30, 40 years. And each mango is delicious, fragrant, sweet, healthy, nutritious, and looks after us. And it does not produce any waste, and it does not produce any pollution, no carbon emission. And a mango tree does not need a waste bin or a dust bin. If we can have our economy like a mango economy, mangonomy I call it, that whatever you produce should produce more, like mango produces more, without waste, without pollution, without carbon emission, and whatever you produce should be nutritious and healthy. You talked about a consumer society. Advertising. Advertising is poisonous. We advertise chemicals and a kind of Coca-Cola and McDonald's and a kind of foods which are not healthy for us, but just it makes money. And so I think this idea of making money has to change. Money should be only a means to an end, a facilitator, and not an end, that making money is the end of life. That has to change. So I think we need to learn from nature and learn from mango trees and other trees and create a mango economy or an economy of nature.
Absolutely. And one other aspect of that good life that we can aspire to is not to harm any other being.
Yes.
To live a non-violent life.
Yes.
And that has many aspects. Obviously, violence per se is clear, but also elements like stress or anger, and how to also not be violent against ourselves by suppressing things and not looking after us properly.
I mean, when you become angry, violent to yourself, you are damaging yourself, you are harming yourself. So I always say, in my radical love, I have said that clearly, that loving yourself is not ego. Ego is to say, I love myself more than somebody else, or I'm better than somebody else, or I'm more important than somebody else. That is not love. Love is to recognize yourself, accept yourself who you are, and live your life with calm and loving and a kind of good way, so that you are not anxious, you are not angry, you are not depressed, and you are not ill. And so looking after yourself, loving yourself is the first step towards loving others and loving nature. And so that's a kind of principle of non-violence, non-violence to yourself. Do no harm to yourself, then you will do no harm to others. When you go to war, when you harm others, it's a kind of self-hatred. It's a kind of subtle way of self-hatred. And so we need to love ourselves. As we love ourselves, we love our neighbors. And as we love our neighbors, we love trees and the forest and rivers, because they are also our neighbors. Neighbors are not just human neighbors, but nature neighbors as well. So loving at all levels. So start with yourself.
Yes.
Start with myself.
We're coming to the end of our time, but I would like to ask one more question that is a bit more touchy, but it might be of great value for people to hear what you have to say about it. It's like in the real public and political life out there nowadays, the people are very bombarded and put under pressure, like to take sides. I think when George W. Bush in the wake of 9/11 proclaimed, "Who's not for us is against us," that I felt like he was putting a gun against my chest. You know, this kind of pressure. But it seems it wasn't just then, it's become like a zeitgeist. It's with us now. Are you pro-Israeli or pro-Palestine? Are you pro-Ukrainian, pro-Russian? Everything, it's almost, you cannot say I'm a pacifist or I just want to love everybody, or then you sound naive. But as a genuine person who wants to live a good life, and I believe, and you will probably say that just focusing on love will be enough, but is there any other aspect how to address a situation, say if a German meets a Jewish person, or how was it for you coming out of India to the land of the occupiers when you moved to London?
Yes.
Could you be forgiving?
Yes, absolutely. Forgiveness is the essential part of human development and human growth. Human development, because we cannot grow without forgiving. In Jain tradition, we are taught that every night before you go to sleep, you say a mantra, mantra of forgiveness. And that mantra is Khamemi sabva jive, sabve jiva khamantu me, mitti me sabva bhuvesu, veram majjanake nahi. Which means that if anyone has done any harm to me, I forgive them. If I have done any harm to anybody else, I seek their forgiveness. And everyone, every person, and every living being is my friend. And I have no enemies. With that forgiveness, you go to sleep. And that mantra is said every night, to remember that you have no enemies, whether you are a Jew or a Palestinian or a Ukrainian or a Russian or a Chinese or a Muslim or a Pakistani or an Indian, whoever you are all human beings and I have no enemy. And if you have any differences of opinion, you have some disagreement, you have some problems, sit down together over a cup of tea. How we share the land, how we share resources, how we live as neighbors together. Negotiate. Without negotiation, and so Mahatma Gandhi, he fought against the British, but he said British people are not my enemies. They are my friends. I'm fighting against imperialism. I'm fighting against colonialism, but I'm not fighting against the British people. British people are my friends, my brothers and sisters. They can live in India as long as they want. Same way I met Martin Luther King. I was privileged to meet Martin Luther King. And he said the same thing as Mahatma Gandhi said. The white people are not my enemies. And I don't hate white people. They are my friends. And I want to end racism. And if racism was practiced by black people, I will be fighting against that racism as well. So it's not black or white, it's the racism which I have to challenge. And so if you are not hating people, even people who are practicing racism or imperialism or colonialism or capitalism or communism, whatever, they are humans and they are victims of their system as well. So your love for them helps them to transform themselves and change from racism, imperialism, colonialism, whatever ism is, and make all isms wasms. It's not ism which is important. What is important is humanity and nature and living in harmony with each other. And so forgiveness, as you mentioned, is the most important principle. The burden of revenge and burden of anger carrying on your shoulder is too heavy to carry, too heavy burden to carry. And forgiveness lightens your shoulders, lightens your soul, and you forgive and you move on.
So let us end by saying maybe that we are at the very crossroads now, at an edge in time where we can, if we pull together with this love and this attitude and this spirit that you are describing, we can pull out of this age of suppression and suffering and hatred and war into a new era, really, of joy and of becoming humane and sisters and brothers with all living beings.
We have a beautiful planet to live on. We have wonderful humanity. We have so many good cultures, music, art. We have received so much from our ancestors. Let's celebrate life. Let's celebrate diversity. Let's not go so mean that this is mine, this is yours, I'm right, you are wrong. So too mean, too narrow. I think we have beautiful earth. Let's celebrate, enjoy life. And we are here for a few years, 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, then we are gone. Next generation will come. Why are we fighting and killing each other? It's so stupid. I don't understand any reason, all this rationalism and all our education, and we are supposed to be rational and reasonable and so on. War is the most irrational thing that humanity can do. And so if you are really rational, peace is rational. War is irrational.
Here we go. Let us say,
thank you.
Here's to life,
yeah,
and love,
thank you,
and the earth planet, our home.
Thank you.
And to everyone,
thank you, everyone.
Thank you.